Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Horseback Archery podcast with me, Linda, and
me, Johan.
yes, and we of course have a guest today, and that is no one else than Christoph Némethy. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Hey, big welcome.
Yes, a huge welcome, and really happy that you want to join us in this podcast. You must be one of the guys in this sport with most experience, I think.
Yeah, try my best.
It's
And I would also say the one most mentioned in this podcast.
Yes, really. We have pretty many guests now, and everybody mention you. It's really fun. But please, can you tell us how you first come in contact with this sport and a little bit about who you are?
I'm Christoph Némethy. I was doing some riding and karate, and I was swimming when I was really young. And my father loved to take me to many, many types of sports. And because many people ask how do we find horseback archery? Not we find horseback archery, the horseback archery find us with an accident. This means it was like that we had a weekend house. We was driving back to Budapest to our main house, and some of the biggest martial art teachers in Hungary come out of the main street with his pickup, with his orange pickup, and we was crash his car. And it was a fault from his side, and he saw that in the car it was not a big crash, of course, it was a small crash, everybody's health. And he asked us if it's possible to not pay the repair things and to send the two kids in the back of the car to some martial art summer camp clinics. And my father was telling how it looks like, and he said that he's here at this beautiful island. There's the Donau curve, and in the curve there's a little island, and in the end of the island there is Kisrossi and Tortolfalu, and there is a beautiful nature close to the Donau, and there is a martial art place, and there was a lot of summer camps for kids who had no school. They can go there, and there was riding, archery, horseback archery, and many other Hungarian martial art things. And we was the whole summer there because of an accident.
But do horseback archery count as martial arts?
Yes, yeah, horseback archery, it's a combination between martial art, sport, and tradition. And this means usually it's 33%, but others it's a bit more percentage, one of these. All of the three are really important. And in Hungary, of course, we have a huge history about horseback archery because our ancestors, the Hungarians, the Huns, the Skedes, they was coming from Asia. From which part, it's really difficult to say, but around Kazakhstan, Mongolia, Iran, something like that, they was moving down to this place, and they was stopping here. And our ancestors was moving from there to here, and Hungary is here because there was protecting this Carpat Valley. And this is the reason that after 1898, after when the communism and the war was finished, many Hungarians was researching what is horseback archery exactly. And one of the guys, we make sadly the accident, or not sadly, luckily we make the accident. He's one of the traditional guys. He was also researching what is the horseback archery way. And when he was inviting us to the summer clinics, we was of course staying 1 week. And in the beginning we like it, but there was strange things, new things, I say like that. And he was showing us the tricks, how to sit on the horse. He have also 200-300 Hutsul horses and Kazakh horses, and we was taking the wild herd to the Donau to let them drink, send them back, and we was going every summer to these places. And I and my brother, we was learning quite a lot about riding, about archery, horseback archery, and mostly about the culture. What we was sleeping in the yurts, example, we was waking up and eat what is this cow cheese, maybe it's not this animal, I forget the animal, it had a really strange cheese feeling.
Yak.
Yeah, yuck. And then there was also camels, and we was eating the first time horse meat. It was quite strange. It's really delicious, but it was the first time we was eating. Of course, there was no to say not, because this was what they had, and when you don't eat this, then you don't eat, because the next shop was 15 kilometers far, but it was a beautiful nature, closed. And the best was that we had a mobile, the Nokia 3310. I hope you all remember, this was one of the best phones ever. And after 1 2 days, it have no charge, and they take the phone away. This means we had no communication with the world. We have just us, the yachts, the wally, and the horses, and it was really beautiful experience for us.
Yeah, it sounds really nice to get away from the society and everything and the cities.
Yes, and after, it was also strange to continue, because there we was doing some shows with them, with the family together. The family name is Magyar Család, Magyar family. Magyar means Hungarian family. This is the name of them. They're also famous for shows, and they have beautiful places. And my brother had, as I remember, it was birthday or something like that, and the uncle of him, he gave him a book, and the book was the book from Kassa Lajos, and there was we was reading in it, and then we saw that there's every first Saturday are open day, and we was of course open to go there, because it was horseback archery in a different level, and we saw just some videos, and of course Kosha is one of the biggest horseback archers in the world. um, Around 2001 we had the accident, then I was 12 years old, and with 14 we was going to Mr. Koshoi, and we saw how it's working, and my father loved everything about it. We was quite young and quite shy, of course, and he was of course the engine. This means the main reason he was the engine, because the Némethy family, it's a big riding name, and all our ancestors was big riders before, like Némethy Bertalan. He was the person who was building up a lot of in show jumping sport, because Hungary in the First World War had a really high riding level because of the hussars, and there was really big knowledge, maybe one of the biggest knowledge all over the world. Just when the war was continuing, all these big officers and the soldiers who had the big riding knowledge need to leave the country before they will be killed. And also, one of our uncles, Némethy Bertalan, he was going to America with the knowledge what the Hungarians had, and he was building up the show jumping sport. And my father, for him, was really important that he had not the time and the money to do anything with horses, but he wanted we do something with horses. And this was the reason we go to the horseback archery Wally to Koshai, and we was see what they do, and we was joining. But of course, before, my father was taking us to show jumping, to dressage riding. We was learning something about Western riding, and we do voltige riding. It was really beautiful because we was in sexy clothing. There was a lot of nice ladies. We was quite young. I was doing it from 6 to 12, and the horse go in the circle, and we was jumping up on the horse, but we was a bit stupid because we was looking the Nokia 3310 and play the snake game, so you remember,
Yeah, I we know that game.
was the best
Yes.
game ever, and there was a lot of sexy ladies close to us, but we was not realizing that we are swimming in the gold.
Yeah, you should have waited 3 years.
Yeah, but it was lovely time, and we was learning a lot in voltige riding, the safety of the body. We was learning a lot, and we had one of the best riding teachers there. Pashko Iliko was her name, and she was teaching us quite a lot. Kodi Gabo Sensei, he was our karate master. He was teaching us about karate, martial art, and about the Japanese tradition. And of course, we had a lot of riding teachers who was giving us a lot of push, like Shuvak Peter. But I had other 19 teachers who was giving us knowledge in show jumping about horsemanship, because all are beautiful spots.
You have had a lot of teachers teaching you pretty much everything you like, it sounds like.
Yes, really. But when did you start competing in horseback archery?
It was like that when we was meeting Koshoi. I had less to do, and we was joining to the system. And in his schools, he have one center, and he have many partners. When we was going to the closest partner who where we was living, this was Soskut. This is the city. It's quite close to Budapest. It's maybe 35 minutes far. And there was the leader Enge Zsolt. And Enge Zsolt was the person who was teaching us the most in horseback archery. And there was also a lady, her name is Diana Nodge, and she was one of the persons who was closer to Koshoi for some time, and she was really open to teach us and to give us more knowledge. Because at Koshoi school, it's really interesting. We were 6 years members, and there it's a martial arts school. This means you can go there. There is the first exam, the second exam. It's like a kata, like in karate, a kata. This means you do some movements, you learn the basics, but it's not the same what we do in Némethy, that we are teaching the person to stay in the position, how to stay, how to pull the string, which finger is holding how much pressure on the string. It's not so technically. It's more like a kata, and you join and you see what's moving there. It's in a way the best example is like bow maker in Japanese. When you want to learn from him, he's silent and he's doing, and you can copy what he do. This means when you're wise enough, you can learn how to build bows, but there is a big silence. That the open days, it's more like a show for the peoples who are visiting us in the same time, and there is a little bit teaching, but not really. And when we was going to the open days to Koshei Valley, we was learning a lot. We was seeing the beautiful valley. It's, I think, one of the best horseback archery centers in the world, and also really beautiful. And there was also some competitions, but the most we was learning, it was in Soskut at our main place. And around 2 years later, we start to do all the exam. And after you do a lot of exams and some tests, then it's allowed to start to compete. And because many people ask me, how many points do I shoot in 9 rounds in the beginning? The exam looks like that you need to go to a competition and try to shoot 30 points. And I was shooting 7 points in 9 rounds because I was shooting 2 points and my horse gave me 5 points. And this was the first horseback archery competition in my life. This was around 2004, something like that. But you need to do it without saddle. There's not allowed to use saddles just when you reach a level. And after something like 60 points or 30 points, you can start to shoot with the saddle. And after 1 year, I was, as I remember, in the rank list number 10. This means I was going really fast up. And what was the most inspiration for me to learn everything, when my brother, my father, and me, we was together going to our weekend house. There's a back garden place. There is a little place where it's possible to shoot, and we together was motivating each other because we were shooting. I tried to beat my brother. He was really fast and have a lot of skills, and I want to better like him because he was usually much better in other sports. And I tried to, beat my brother. Why not? And we pushed us up, and we was doing the same in horseback archery, that I try every time to beat the best, and also I try to beat myself. And after 1 year, I was ranked number 10. This means I was in kosher system. There was in these times maybe 150 competitors all over the world who was competing, and I was the place number 10. And 1 year more, I was place number 5. And it was really strange because I was feeling the horse, I was feeling everything, but I had also some problems. I was quite young, and I was thinking I am God and I know everything better like everyone else.
Pretty much like everyone feel until age of 25, yeah?
Yeah, the typical problem. And here the story is coming. I was in a way so arrogant because in this system it's a bit like that. When you have a high level kaftan, you can do in a way everything. This means you are over or age. This means the skills are worth more. As you know, I don't know how to explain. It's like a character system there. This means when you have a rank list, then you can do much more as the person under your rank. And I was thinking it's the real life like that. This means when I shoot a lot of points, then I am the master. But of course, I'm not. I was a stupid children who was thinking I am. And it was really strange the situation. There was a competition, and I was thinking I can be the first in the world or maybe the second rank. I was shooting at the trainings over 200 points, over 250, 60 points at the lessons. And I was not really concentrating on my horse. I had my own horse. This was my first horse in my life. I was 16. The horse name was Grant, and the horse at the competition there was a tent, of course, and some speakers. It was quite loud, and my horse was never trust in me because I was a big egoist and I was shooting just by myself. I was never give some carrots for my horse and never give him the safety feeling for my horse. At the competition, the horse was not going 18 seconds. This means quite slow as usual. He speed up and go with 9 seconds. And I need to change my tactic, and of course I lose a lot of points. Master Christoph was shooting not over 255 points. I was shooting just 107 points, and this was the first time I get a big slap in my face, and I was learning quite a lot. It was a good slap,
Was it a physical slap or just mentally?
mentally slap, because I was the best in this school and also one of the best in the hospitality world in the kosher system. And this was the first time I realized it's not everything to be a good hospitality. You need to be a good human. This means, and it was also strange story. The continuous story. There's a kosher master. He was ranked number 2. His name is Volga Shandor. He's from Slovakia, and he had an accident that the house burned down in Slovakia, his own house, and he asked everyone to help. And our team was going up to him, and this was the time I want to beat everyone and I want to have the master kaftan. This was a really high ranked because I was thinking when I have the brown master kaftan, my life will change. I was thinking like that. And I was going to Shandor and we was rebuilding his house. There was a lot of hospitality and was helping him because he is one of the best teachers in the world in hospitality in these times, and also he have a beautiful place in Slovakia with really good hospitality. And he was ranked number 2, and he was my hero in a way because I saw how he load. He was inspiration for all of us. And it was strange because he was inviting us to some goulash soup in his yacht when we was finished his house around. It was we finished around 80% of his house with others, and we was asking the stupid question, Shandor, you saw your house burning, what do you saw? And he answered like that, just with 10 seconds break, I saw in the fire how beautiful my new house will be. Usually a normal person will say, I don't say the word because there are bad words here, I will not say it.
Yeah, but they would pretty much see what they have lost instead of what they can get.
Yeah, and he have a really positive mind. And then there was a second private question from me. I asked him, Shando, do it make sense to be a master in the kosher system? And he gave me the question back, Christoph, do you think that you are a master with 16? And my answer was, I don't feel it. I don't think I'm master. And then he answered, now you have your answer for your question. This means this was the reason I was never do the master exam. And then we was going more deeply into the spot, how to work with the horse, how to make the techniques. This means it was not so important anymore to shoot high level points. even when I was winning competitions. And then, because of many reasons, after, it was difficult because the kosher system, it's a really nice system, but that's it's a way you can join, and it's really important. We was asking questions, we want to do more, and it was not the interest of kosher. This means there was a time coming that we need to leave his school. And of course, it was quite painful for us because we trust him and he's a big legend in horseback archery. And I was 17, I think, when we leave his school. And all our members who want to be with him, everybody leave us. This means it was strange because from 17 to 18, I was not doing anything with horseback archery because it was so painful what was happening in these times. It is a long story, but I will not tell it here in the podcast. What was happened. It's really interesting, but in a way changed my life, because first I was really sad because I was thinking this is the system and I was somebody there, but I was going back to the roots and I was starting to work with horses, with wild horses, and just with riding. And in the time there was coming European Championships, this was in Germany, and I was need to search for a new horse because my horse had colic and was dying sadly. This means it was exactly before the first European Championships in Germany. This was not a kosher competition. This was the first time that his name is Christian Schrade. He's Abdul Majid is his second name, as I remember. And he was doing the impossible happen. He bring the Famp archers, the Slavic archers, together with the Mediterranean archers. This means there was a 2 days competition. One day was the Hungarian track, and the second day there was the Korean track was the old name.
Can I pause you?
Yeah.
Was it actually different contests for different techniques before?
Yeah, in the beginning, in the kosher system, there's just one competition style. The Hungarian style was the name. Yeah, usually in the kosher system, the most people was shooting Mediterranean. This means to 80%, 90% was everybody was Mediterranean shooters, because his competition style is made mostly for Mediterranean. And the Asia world, we was not meeting them so much. They are usually using farm techniques, and a really small percentage was using in these times Slavic or Persian.
Ah.
This means Asia was usually going really fast, faster horses. It was more spectacular. They was using just quivers. They was doing a more traditional way, and the Hungarians was doing a modern technique, because people ask us, is the Mediterranean technique, is it old technique? It's not. It's a totally modern high-tech technique. Why? Because in 89, the first generation of horseback archers was searching the way what we was doing. We had not really a lot of historical books because the communism time destroyed everything about our history, mostly the most things. And we was knowing something but not really, and then we was watching the modern archery sport, what's Olympics, the Olympic style with the free finger style, and they saw the riding style, the dressage riding and the show jumping. And our sport is a combination between the two modern sports. It have nothing to do what our ancestors was doing. This is for sure. What do they do? There was shooting usually with thumb, for sure, because there was using sharp tips, and there was not doing any cross loading because there was not stupid.
I think I met you first time like 6 years ago, something like that, 6 or 7 years ago. And I remember that you talk a lot about being a champion is not only make the highest score, it's also about being champion in your heart. And that was something that I really liked, because I really agree. You must be, what you say, polite for the knowledge and for the knowledge other people have and for your totally environment and people around you. So it's really nice to hear you talk about it. But I think it's really exciting to hear the story. It's a long story and it's so much new thing that I didn't know. But how do you think that the sport has developed during this time?
How to say that? When I was meeting, this first competition where the styles was going, and I was also winning it, then I meet the horseback archery world, the other part of the world, and I first time competing in two styles. It was really interesting to do something else because all the competition styles have really good skills. And then, of course, it was strange because everybody asked me what kind of person I was in these times. I was the most shy person you cannot believe. I was shy. I was scared from humans, mostly
Was
from
you?
girls. Yeah, yeah. Girls was coming. I was not understanding what they want because my Hungarian language knowledge was not so strong because I was in Hungary living, but we go to a German school. We go to the Deutsche Schule Budapest. This means the German school in Budapest. This means everything was in German, and we had maybe one time English Hungarian lesson per week. And my father was a company owner. This means he was not so often at home. And my mother's German, my father's Hungarian. This means he was speaking every time German. My friends was from Germany, and we was a little German word in Budapest in a way. And when I start to work with horses, of course, the horses don't speak Hungarian, English, or anything else. They know the body language. And when I was starting to work with the horses, there was coming a guy and he asked me, do I want to do some lessons? And I was shy, but in these times I was a guy who try every time to help someone. And I tell the guy, yes, of course I can give him a lesson, and you need to know my house and this place where I was. I need to travel 3 hours to the place with bus, with a little ship. This means I need to cross to the Donau, then go with the bus close to be 1.5 hours, then change to a train, then go one more time 30 minutes, and then I need to walk up to the stable. This means I need to travel 2.5 to 3 hours to give a riding lesson. And I was doing this the first 2 months. This means I was giving one riding lesson and I was traveling 6 hours. This was what I was doing. And I do because I want to help the persons. But when I teach first time riding, I know a bit about riding. I had a good riding position, but my Hungarian was not good and my teaching knowledge wasn't good enough. And after the guy, he was bringing his brother and he asked me, Chris, can my brother join too? And I was, why not come now, 2 riders? And then from the two, I had 4 riders. From four, I had 8 riders. And then people asked me to teach archery, also horseback archery. And now I have over 2,000 students. This means it was starting like that. I do something I was shy to do, but I was not saying no. I was, of course, and I saw people learn something, but I teach, of course, some not so good things too. And I go every year to presentations to other big teachers, and I start to, to learn, to continue to learn everything about the riding. And then I change my teaching style when I saw that something is better. I teach them in a other way or in a better way, and I correct myself. This means all the mistakes what I was teaching them, I rechange it a bit. And after I had other countries invite me to go to Germany. For me, it was easier to teach in German as in Hungarian. Then somebody asked me from Switzerland to go and to Italy, and this means the academy start like that, that we are starting to rebuild everything before. But of course, when we was in the kosher school, my brother was the main teacher, my father was the main manager, and I was the competitor. This means this was the plan. In these times, just my brother was teaching, and he was, of course, really good in it. And I was the shy background guy. And the first time when we are meeting the EHAA, this is the International Horseback Archery Alliance, we had a strong name in horseback archery, and we saw a new federation. I was, first of all, not understanding what they do exactly, but when I was meeting them, I like a lot structure of the system. This means they bring all the techniques together. And I really like how they do. They make smaller competitions. And then we are joining to them. Our school joined to the EHA, and now we are together building the horseback archery. That's the situation. And it was also interesting because we have a huge web shop, maybe one of the biggest web shops in horseback archery, and maybe the most people that are using our equipments to 80-85%, even the champions. And people ask me, how do we start? First of all, my plan was not to create bows and to have arrows and to create saddles and make timing gates. It was like that. I was going to teaching, and I asked my students to buy a good bow, and they say yes, yes, sir, and they buy something from eBay or from Amazon, and the bow was heavy and short, and the arrow was not good, and everything was wrong. And I don't understand why the people cannot buy any good equipment. And then I realized there is no existing any web shop who have a fair price and have good personalized equipments. And I, as a teacher, I realize it's so difficult to teach someone to be a good horseback archer. And, maybe the bow is not fitting, maybe the nock is not fitting, or maybe the saddle is not fitting on a horse. It means it was not working, and then I start to making arrows. Of course, I lose a lot of money because I had no idea how to make this business, and I make also mistakes in my life in the beginning. Then we are starting to create bows with bow makers, and then we do some other production. And now we have over 190 types of horseback archery equipment in our shop, and everybody loved them because we tried to make the best horseback archery equipments in the world. This was the plan, and we also reinvest everything in the project to have really good equipment because it's difficult, to teach when the peoples have no bow or maybe no arrow. This was the reason we do in the beginning.
Yeah, it's really amazing that you have so many products. What's your opinion regarding the different techniques in horseback archery?
First, of course, the Mediterranean technique. This is what I do usually.
For the listeners that might not know what a Mediterranean technique is, can you describe it in an easy, understanding way?
The horseback archers have the bow in the hand, and usually when we are right-handed, we take the bow in the left hand. It means we are pulling the bow with the stronger hand, and our left hand are holding the bow and the arrows between the fingers, and we put them in the different order. It's depend of the style. There are more Mediterranean styles. This means my style is different from Koshai's style. He hold the bow a bit different, and he's also loading the arrows different like me. And we can hold from one arrow to 16 arrows between the fingers. And we are taking the arrow, we take it out of the finger, and we put the tip between grip and string to the other side. And then we have a special technique that the arrow is slipping quite fast in. And after slipping in, we are twisting our fingers to the Mediterranean style. This means the index fingers over the nock, and the middle finger and the ring fingers under the nock, usually on the knocking point. And the knocking point is a tape. And then we are pulling the string out with 3 fingers. And many people ask us, of course, often, why is the arrow not falling down on the hand? The reason is because we are putting the index finger a bit more over and we are twisting the string. This means with the index finger and we are holding the arrow in the right position. And then we are pulling the string to the fixed point and we are shooting it out. And of course, after time, there was many competition styles changing. This means they tell us we need to use quivers, and usually a Mediterranean archer, we don't use quivers. We have the arrows just between the fingers. But of course, rules are rules, and we was changing our styles to other types of techniques. This means when we do a raid competition, we have a special raid quiver. This is a front small quiver with 5 spots because we have just 5 targets usually on the raid. And we was doing a big quiver, what's perfect made for our technique. And it's a really fast technique, one of the fastest in the horseback archery world. A really safe technique. This means it's really easy to understand and to copy. And it's quite easy to pull out the string because you hold the string with 3 fingers. This means it's not so difficult to do in the beginning. And I like it because many people, they try it, they like it. It's a really nice, simple technique. Of course, in the beginning, when people try it, maybe between the fingers, 1 or 2 arrows, it will be a bit painful for our fingers. But usually, this is going away after 2 weeks. And because we are taping our fingers, when we pull it, it's really not painful technique. It's a quite easy technique. It's a modern technique, and we have a lot of champions that was winning. And then, of course, I was meeting the thumb technique. The thumb technique, it's a more traditional way. There is the old type of thumb technique. It's a really authentic old technique. There was using thumb ring, and it's a really nice technique, but it's a bit slow, but really accurate. And then the thumb shooters were starting to rethink everything. This means they have the fingers usually in the back quiver on the side, and then they start to use front quivers, and now they're using back quivers. This means there was every time upgrade the technique to be much, much faster. This means in the past it was like that. A Mediterranean shooter was shooting 10 arrows and they can shoot maybe 7 arrows. And after they was shooting the front quiver, we were shooting 10 arrows, they were shooting 8 arrows. And now they're using the back quiver style. It's a really interesting change. And now they're shooting close to be the same time the arrows. This means when I shoot 10, they will shoot also 10. This means it's a really nice upgrade from them, and it's a really accurate technique. Maybe the only difficulty is when we are taking the string, we hold the pressure just with the thumb usually, and they don't use anymore the thumb ring. They're using tapes, and of course they need to hold more pressure just on one finger. But it's more easier to make a nice release, because when we do the release, we can make a release mistake with 3 fingers easier as they do. But maybe the thumb technique is a bit slower, but now it's close to be the same. This means when you are choosing techniques, you can choose both of them.
Is it any difference when it comes to injuries between thumb and Mediterranean?
In any technique, you can do it wrong and you can do it in a good way. When you do it in a wrong way, unimportant which technique you use, you can destroy your body. I am the fourth generation of horseback archers. Before me, there was other 3 generations, and the most people have some smaller problems or bigger problems with the shoulder, because usually the main problem was the size of the bow. This means the bow was a bit short, and when they pull the bow out, they can pull it just to the face. This means to the first shoulder line, and they cannot pull the bow more far away to close the shoulder blades. This means when you holding the string, and we speak just about a 30-pound bow. This is not so heavy, but you need to know when you see a 30-pound bow, this bow is 28-inch, 30 pound. This means 30 pounds is around 15 kilos. But when you are pull the bow over the 28-inch, this means I, example, pull 35-inch. This means I pull the bow 7 inch more. At every inch, the bow will be 2 pounds more. This means the bow will be 14 pounds more. This means maybe the bow is just 20 plus 14, it's 34 pound. Means it's around 17 kilos. I'm not so good in math, even now. But we speak about a much higher poundage. And when the bows may be too short, the biggest problem is at the last inch when the bow start to be at the maximum. Maximum means when you cannot pull the bow over. This means you pull maybe 34, but the bow it's made for 33. You can pull the bow maybe 1 inch over, but at this 1 inch, at the maximum, over the maximum, the poundage can jump up to 7-8 pounds at 1 inch.
That's a lot.
It's quite a lot. And usually the problems was happen because of this smaller bows. And why people was doing smaller bows, it's easy to explain. the most bow makers are make bows for archery, for field archery, and the field archers pull the string to the face. They have time to aim. They have time to put the shoulder into the line. This means they have usually 1 minute to aim. But the bow makers had no interest to produce bows for horseback archers because it was a much smaller market. This means when you go to archer shop, you will see horse bows, and horse bow is a really nice marketing name, but it have nothing to do with a horse bow.
Aha.
This means it's a good name to sell you the bow, but it's not a horse bow. It's a short Korean bow. What's really good in Korea when everybody's smaller, but in Europe everybody's taller.
Not everybody.
Yeah, not everybody, but
I'm short.
some peoples and
Yeah.
peoples was way start to use shorter bows, and the pain was happen because of that. And maybe about thumb archers, when young kids are starting to shoot, it's easier to teach the Mediterranean technique because when they're young and they start to grow up, it's better when they have not the pressure just on one finger. This means the most teachers, when their kids are coming, they teach Mediterranean. You can start it with less injuries.
What would you say are a decent age to start with thumb draw?
Usually, I think with 8, 9, it's possible to shoot with any technique. When you start earlier, this means when you're 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe it's better to use Mediterranean, and of course to use a really light bow, because for right now we have really good children bows. They are measured at 26 inch, and they are maybe 10 pounds or 12 pounds or 15 pounds. This means they're really light. This means the kids don't need to shoot with heavy bows. They need to shoot with a really light bow, have some fun, shoot close to the target, and take a heavier bow when the body reach the perfect level.
I've read over the internet on different forums where the ordinary archerists suggest you shouldn't start with thumb before about 20 because of your thumb take too much damage.
Yeah, but they have for sure much heavier bows. It can be because you need to know in when we are starting to create bows, it was so difficult to go under 25 pound. It was in a way impossible to do. When we was telling a bow maker to go under 25, he was getting a heart attack because like a light bow, it's in a way impossible. The fiberglass, the glue, the wood, and it's a lot of work to make a light bow. To make a heavy bow, this was easy, and every bow maker can do a heavy bow. And when we was coming with the crazy ideas, not even to make a under 25, to make a long bow, what's long pullable and light poundage. And the best was to have less repression, because when you have a long pull, a light pound, then there will be a big repression too. And it was a lot of work. First time it was maybe in 2010, we was making the first bow under 20 and 25. It was maybe 22 pound. And we was open a champagne because it was impossible happen that we had. But of course, in these times, the boat was really slow. We had in the beginning that we had aluminum arrows. There was no carbon arrows. This was when I was starting to do horseback archery. All the equipments was had a lot of problems. It was strange because we was thinking this is the best bow ever. But now, of course, in 2024, we cannot even compare the two techniques. Is it like with the phones? When we look back, Nokia 3310, and we look now the telephones, what can fly to us. It's of course a different word, but we was restarting the production, try to do even better bows, and in 2011, 12, we can go under 20 pound, and we can make big bows with really less vibration. And of course, at the COVID time, there was a big jump, and nobody was understanding why the Némethy bows was so much better. The answer. I had time and I was at home and I cannot move, and I take all the equipments out what had some smaller problems, because of course when a customer buys something, I ask every time, is the bow good? Do you like it? What is the problem? I don't want to know what's good. I want to know what's not good, what he don't like. Is the grip too big? Is the vibration too big? And I have a list in my mind and also on my laptop, and I take all the mistakes and we change them and we make them even better. This is the reason that after COVID, the bows go up to 120%. And now the bows have no real mistakes anymore, no any problem. The vibration is gone, no vibration anymore. The bows are really fast, even with a light poundage bow. This means to your answer to your question, when somebody use a heavy poundage bow, for sure it's better to go from 20 up the thumb technique. But when we have a light poundage bow, and then it's for sure possible to shoot a bit. And it's also really important how much the people need to shoot, because everybody thinks I need to take the bow and the arrow and shoot a lot and to learn a lot. No, you need to shoot so much arrows that you can concentrate. Means it's better to shoot 50 arrows good as to shoot 60 arrows bad. This means when we are feel tired, it's better to make a rest. In my times, it was like that. You need to shoot 500 arrows and then you are master. No, it's stupid. Don't shoot 500. Shoot just 200 maybe. When you feel tired, then make a rest, because your body will learn all the movements, good movements and bad movements. Everything will be saved in your mind and in your body memory. This means when you are tired and you want to shoot and in your mind you are somewhere else, better not to take a lesson, because you will take all the bad movements in your body. That's the problem.
If you are doing groundwork with the bow and you do some really bad shootings, would you say it's better to just continue a bit until you get those good ones and then stop, or stop before because it's not good from the start?
It's really depend. When you're shooting from the ground, then you have bad time. Every time the question is, why is it bad? Is it because of your mind? Is it because of your body? Or is it because of the weather conditions? Example. When it's the mind, then the best is you close your eyes and you try to come back to the now, because the biggest problem is that people have a lot of impulse, a lot of infos are coming. The phone call is coming, I don't know, the family, the girlfriend is calling or something like that, and your mind goes somewhere else. This means when your mind are in the work or in the school, it's really difficult to have good shooting. This means you need to turn off your mind and try to be with your bow to 100%. When you can, try to be 100%. When you cannot, then maybe to be there with 70%. But when your mind are somewhere else, it's really difficult, to have the perfect
Yeah.
movements. When your body is tired, then the best is you are sitting down, you make some stretching exercises, you make a bit relaxing, and then you try again. Or you have two or three more bows. It means usually when I was competing, I had three bows. One was my competition bow. This was maybe 27 pound. I had a technic bow. The technic bow was 5, 6 pounds weaker. This means it was around 22. And I had a heavy bow. This means it was over 32 pounds. And I started lessons like that. I shoot with the light poundage bow to warm up my body. It's in a way same like the gym. When you go to the gym,
Yeah.
you make some warm up, take light weights first to warm up the body, and then you go slowly up to the weight what you want to push. 12 times example, 4 times, and then you go maybe down with the pressure. And I was doing the same. I tried to take the weak bow to warm up. Then I try my optimal bow. And then in the end, I hold the strong bow maybe 12 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds to make my body more stronger to the heavy bow, that I can feel my competition bow more easy. This means to have a high level horseback archery, there are a lot of tactics you can do, and we also explained them. There's a new system. It was coming out 2 weeks ago. This is the horseback archery, the Némethy system. You can find it in the internet. This is the first time we speak about archery techniques, about all the techniques. This means the biggest horseback archer masters are teaching. There's Mauro Agi in, Anna Minkinen in, Wojtek Ochitsky in, and also me and Levy's helping. And there are many peoples who are teaching in the online sessions. And we was telling everything about every technique, every problems, how to speed up, how to put the arrows between the quivers, all the little details. And this was the first time we had time. This was in COVID. We were starting in COVID time because we realized many people have no teachers, and we was giving them a possibility to learn without to coming to Hungary or without to invite me. This means they can even start to learn at home, and this was the plan on it, and people love it. Now we had 12 to 20 customers last week, and we get a lot of nice feedbacks because it's okay, it's a bit long because there's one session 6 minutes long, and in one package there are 20 videos in, but we say everything. This means, and people can understand it's in English, and now we are trying to also translate it in other languages because our main goal is to understand everything, not just why do we shoot, how do we shoot, what's happened when we do that. It's like a domino effect. You can make the perfect technique, but when you do in archery, except in archery, people ask me how many mistakes it's possible to do. But the problem in archery, when you do one mistake of the 16, it's possible you miss the arrow. This means in archery, you need to focus to 100%. And when you do everything right, you can shoot a really nice shot. Maybe it's not in a bullseye, but it will be close to the center. And you can repeat it and repeat it. And when you start to be tired, it's better to stop before you are tired. And it's also a method to have a clicker to check the time, how much you were shooting. And when you was tired yesterday at 100 shot, it's better to stop at 90 next time. This means you shoot 90 and you stop. And this means you stop every time at the best position because the body will learn mostly what you was doing in the end. This means when you do the wrong technique, you finish the lesson with a wrong movement. That's the problem.
And here we need to pause the conversation for this time, but we will continue from this point already next week, so it won't be too hard to keep up when we return. So for this time, thanks for listening, goodbye and take care.